If someone has an expectation that acquiring a pro card is going to lead them to fame and fortune, you are wrong. Where's the camera? I can stare straight into your face and tell you that is the wrong approach to take, because it will not.
Hey, let me take 1 second here to let you guys know that my products, the Titan Crew, are available over at Walmart. You got the pump product, get that focus on the workout. The test booster, bump it naturally. And then the joint support, you gotta keep the joints healthy. That way you can train for a lifetime. I want to take that 1 minute. Let's get back into the podcast. Thanks again. Welcome to the Mike O'Hearn Show here on Generation Iron. And today's guest I have known for over 3 decades. Might be one of the most handsome guys I've ever known. And today would be one of those shows that I think you kids, if you want to create a life for yourself where you want to be your own boss, or you want to create a future that is not only fun, that you change people's lives, this will be the show that you guys need to watch. This is not only a friend of mine for over 30 years, he's also the godfather to my son, Titan. Let's bring on Clark Bartram. Clark Bartram, somebody that has been in the fitness industry as long as I have. Wow. I should have done this months ago, but I wanted to save you.
You've been saying, hey, come up for a podcast. We're going to do a podcast. I was like, all right. Then I see somebody else on the podcast. I'm like, all right. He's waiting for the perfect opportunity to bring me on. And here it is. Here we are.
Well, I thought because you know how much I like Christmas.
Yeah.
And so I wanted this to be that Christmas special going into the fun weekend.
You'll love this, a little bit of trivia. You asked me the other day if I thought Die Hard was a good Christmas movie. And I was like, and then you had your reasons for it. Last night on Final Jeopardy, they gave a quote from the movie, and it said action movies. And the quote was, if this is what they do on Christmas, I got to be here on New Year's Eve. And I said, Die Hard. And Anita was like, how do you know all of these Final Jeopardies? I said, me and Mike just talked about it the other day. So
ho, ho, ho. Now I got a machine gun too. And it is a Christmas movie. And I know that he made a joke that it says, it's not a Christmas movie. Yeah, it is. Yeah. With that being said, one of the big questions I had for you is that you're still on covers. You're still relevant today, even though you're a 90s kid and you were competing. You did so much in the health and fitness world, and you're still here today doing health and fitness. But the one question I have is, why was it that you had so many more cover stories? I know that we always say covered. I want for them to understand it wasn't covers, it was cover stories.
Yeah.
It was an article inside because you were intelligent enough and good looking enough to be on the cover, but also articulate what you were doing, and you were setting yourself apart from the other ones that were, and I want to go into this, just the body and face. So what do you think it was in from then to today that still keeps you relevant?
I think I always had a marketing mind. Not knowing I had a marketing mind, but having one back then. So I saw an opportunity with the covers in the magazines as a way to get me to basically where I'm at today, in all honesty. As if you had a brand, for example, which you do, and you were going to sell your supplements inside Muscle and Fitness in a full page ad, I thought, okay, if someone's paying $30,000 for a full page ad in Muscle and Fitness, how much value does the cover provide for whoever is on the cover? And you know as well as I did, we never made money. I mean, $300 was the most we got for a Muscle and Fitness cover, which most people don't get it, but I didn't see it that way. I saw it as an opportunity to create a brand, which nobody was talking about then. No one branded themselves back in the late 80s, early 90s. But somehow I knew that that was a thing I needed to do just innately. So I started to do it, and that was where my focus went. Instead of trying to be this famous bodybuilder, I wanted to be a guy that was on the magazine cover. So, I won a couple shows in my life, but my goal was to be this brand, and magazine covers were the way for me to go.
it sounds like, and I want them to understand this. It sounds like you had the choice to do the covers. Is that so?
Yeah, because I knew I had what the covers needed. Like I wasn't fooling myself. I was a good-looking, fit guy that had the body that could sell the covers. Because they were only putting people on the cover of a magazine who could sell their cover. Period. So it was me, you, Frank Seppi, Christian Boving, Sebastian Siegel. There were 5, 7 of us maybe that were all struggling and fighting to get the covers. So I knew I had what it took. And it was just a matter of me being at the right place at the right time and letting them know that I was available and ready at any moment's notice. So that's what separated me from a lot of people. I said, I'm Clark Bartram. I'm always in shape. That became my brand then. And I remember Jim Chatter from Muscle and Fitness one day, I got a call and I'm like, 818, where's that? Oh, that's Woodland Hills. What's in Woodland Hills? Muscle and Fitness. And I had a pager. And I called back from the pager, Muscle and Fitness, can we help you? I'm like, oh my God, Muscle and Fitness. Oh yeah, Mr. Chad has been waiting to talk to you. And he even said, okay, Mr. Always in Shape, we need you tomorrow for a photo shoot at Powerhouse Gym in Fullerton. I showed up, Ralph DeHaan was there. He goes, dude, Jim Chad is here. He never comes to these shoots. And I walked in, he said, take your shirt off. I got to make sure you're right for this because there's a lot of money riding on this. Ralph was there, he was there. I showed up, took my shirt off. He's like, damn. And it ended up being 8 pages in Muscle and Fitness. Chest 101 was the article. Full blown pages. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, that was my calling card. I'm always in shape.
I love that.
Yeah.
And like you said, you were already ahead of the game. I'll be clear. I never got to choose being on the cover. I was only asked. I never.
See,
got
I was
to
never
say,
asked. I made it happen.
Okay, go.
You were asked.
Go.
Okay, that's the difference between me and you. So I'll tell people all the time. Let's say, for the sake of a number, I was on 100 covers. Out of 100, maybe 5 times, I got the phone call. Hey, Clark, we want you specifically for this cover. The other 95, Mike O'Hearn wasn't ready. He was in Dubai or wherever the place was at that time, or just not in shape, or Christian Boving wasn't in shape, or whoever the bodybuilder was that was supposed to be in shape for that cover wasn't ready. And I put this idea in the mind of Ralph DeHaan first, and then Jim Chada, and then other people, Michael Neville. He would call me up one day. He's like, oh, okay, Mr. Always in Shape. How long do you need? I said, how's this afternoon? He's like, all right, I get it. You're in shape. I need you next week. So I became that go-to guy for when, because fitness modeling didn't exist then. It wasn't a thing. There were bodybuilders who were ready to do a photo shoot 2 weeks out of the year, and that was it. And I saw an opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to be in shape all the time. And if they need me, so there went my whole bodybuilding career. Like I knew I wasn't going to get big and then get small again. I wanted to be a model. I wanted to make money off my body because I knew I was a good looking guy that had the potential. So
you said there went your bodybuilding career in a sense.
Yeah.
Why would that have to go away when you're doing all that stuff?
Because if I was trying to be competitive against the guys that we were competing against back then, I competed against Chris Cormier in the Palm Springs in 1989. To stay at that pace with those guys, I had to gain a bunch of weight. I had to sacrifice my condition for, being able to be on the magazines. I didn't want to take time off and get bigger and lose condition in the shootable look for a bodybuilding contest. I had to make a conscious choice, and I did personally. I'm like, this is the path I want to go on. I don't want to be a bodybuilder as much as I want to be a brand. And again, this was before anyone had a tagline. Like I had the tagline, I think I was one of the first guys to come up, Clark Bartram, America's most trusted fitness professional. No one was doing that then. I had a marketing guy sit me down and he said, what's unique about you, Clark? I said, well, if I tell you I'm going to do something, you can trust that I'm going to do it. He's like, okay. And he wrote that down. He's like, what kind of impact do you want to have? I said, man, I want to be the biggest name in the world. He's like, what about America? I was like, okay, he wrote that down. And then he's like, America's most trusted fitness personalities, what the first brand was. And then a guy came to me later. He said, you're more than a personality. You're a professional. The way you operate, you're a professional. You should change that tagline. Then we changed it from personality to professional. So that's when the brand started to become me. I was synonymous with that brand, So
How does that transfer forward now to where there's social media? So they get to choose the covers. They get to be their own business person. So how would you recommend, or what are your 5 tips for them to make a name for themselves?
So like a new kid coming up?
Yeah.
Funny you ask, because last night I was in the gym, and I never go at night. But last night I missed my workout in the morning because I was at the gym. I had a Zoom call I had to go to, so I raced out. But I went back later on, and I see a kid in there, and I'm like, God, this guy's got a great physique. So I walked up and I approached him. I said, hey, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do with your body? And he looked at me. He's like, look like you. And I'm like, come on, man, enough of that. Just be honest with me. What do you want to do? He's like, well, I want to get my pro card. So this is tip number 1. I said, why? So if you're a person who's in this industry right now and you're coming up through the bodybuilding ranks and your goal is to get a pro card, ask yourself, why do I want a pro card? What is the benefit of a pro card? This thing that all of these people want, for what reason? Do you think it's going to get you a cover of a magazine? Do you think it's going to get you money? Because I can promise you, out of your 500 and something covers, or 1,000, however many it is now, in mine, nobody has ever once said, let me see your pro card before we take your picture. Never, not once in the history of mankind has that ever happened. So what is the benefit of that other than accomplishing a goal in life? So if that's what you want, if you just want to carry that around and call yourself that, that's great. But you have to really understand what is the end game. My goal was to make money. And I told that kid, I've never had a job. Mike O'Hearn's never had a job. Our life has been off of our bodies. So at the age of 60, I still don't want to get a job. I still want to live my life. So I'm still in shape all the time. I can't not live up to that brand that I've developed for 40 years now in this industry. If you want to make money from it, you do not need a pro card. That doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So the second thing is define a path. What's your unique selling proposition? What makes you different than every other good-looking, fit person out there on the planet?
There's a lot.
There's a lot, especially with now. I mean, we can go on Instagram and all day long go, oh my God, that's a good-looking guy. That's a good-looking girl. How old is this kid? He's 15. He looks like that already. Oh my God. They're out there. So that's an advantage and a disadvantage. So what makes you unique? In business, it's called a unique selling proposition. What sets you apart? What set me
Wouldn't
apart?
the pro card set them apart?
Absolutely not. No. Because everybody calls themselves a IFBB pro or whatever. That doesn't make you different. What makes you different is the story. Like my difference was I'm always in shape. I don't care when you call me, I'm going to be available for your shoot. So my job as a commodity, we're a commodity. We're just a piece of meat that magazines use. We understood that, but we benefited from it because we were smart. We were forward thinkers. Narcissism gets in the way of profitability a lot of times. So they want this pro card because that's this pride, that's this narcissistic thing, which we all are to a degree, right? But if there's no reason for it, then there's no benefit to it. So having a unique selling proposition is the key. So were you homeless and you worked your way out of living in the backseat of a car and now you're this inspirational person online? That makes you unique. Were you born with some disability that everybody told you you couldn't make it in life? Like, you don't know how to learn. You're dyslexic. Everything's backwards to you. You'll never read a script. Oh yes? Okay. I'll figure it out. You've done that. You know what I mean? So that's unique. Mike O'Hearn's this great actor. He's got these 2 movies dropping at the film festivals right now. Do you believe this guy, when he was young, couldn't read? He was in special classes. Oh no, I didn't know that. That's unique. That's interesting. People want to talk about that kind of stuff. Being the next good-looking person isn't unique enough. Not in my opinion. Got to bring something to the table.
Want to take a second from my show to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Transcend. This is the health and wellness company that my family has chosen to work with. They get your blood work done so you understand what is going on inside. We might look good on the outside, but you never know what's going on. So that's who I'm recommending for you guys out there. Get on over to Transcend. Get your blood work done today. Make sure you're healthy and stay in the game. You're making a lot of great points. I think I don't know how to take the narcissism when it's competing for the pro card, because I think there is some benefit to have a doctor on your name. A chiropractor or a doctor, and then they talk about it. Is there some kind of stature with the IFBB or if whatever federation you belong to? I could see them thinking that it might be, but I agree with you that it definitely back in our day, especially for me, I got called for covers, but it was the cover story, and it was because I won the powerlifting, it's because I won the bodybuilding, so I could talk about that competitive edge and getting ready for things, and so it helped me in that sense, and I also liked that I had to compete and go against head to head with people, the best. So that's a good part. But I agree your point. I like competing.
Well, see,
and
that's what I
where
tell people.
I think people miss the point that you're saying is like, you don't need to,
No,
because there's so many famous people right now that we know on social media that don't compete.
Yeah.
Or they did so long ago that it's irrelevant to now.
There's a difference between being a competitor and wanting to win, like I want,
Right,
compared to someone who understands that this is something that I can make money with. That was the distinction with me.
I see.
I love competition. Like Wendy DiFortino is a great example. She's a female competitor. She's getting ready for the Olympia right now. I watch her online. I met her on an airplane one time. And she was a track athlete. She was a gymnast. She was all of these different competitors. She competes to compete, but she understands that she's got a brand alongside of that is separate and unique to what she's doing. So she has a coaching business. She does all of this with that brand. Now that's where those two tie together, right? I am an IFBB pro. I won the Miss Olympia or whatever contest it is. Now that gives me more credibility to do this thing specifically, but it doesn't translate into everything.
I agree. Yeah.
So if you needed a model for a shoot today, you wouldn't say, let me see your IFBB card. You say, take your shirt off, like Bill Phillips did to me and Joe Weider did to you. Take your shirt off. Let me see what I'm working with. I flew you down here from Washington. I got to make sure I got a good thing here to make me money, because that's the only reason I brought you down here.
Yeah.
Period.
And I think that what they miss is that competing for me is something that's just ingrained in me. And so I love it. It is tough. As you went back to the beginning of this talk, it is tough to do both because there's the off-season understanding that you need to go off-season. And I want to go into that because what I notice nowadays, and we talked about this, about size, guys that want to compete, but they stay in this condition as they're coming up relative to the pros, take their time off. Yeah. And Clark said earlier on, he made a choice to stay in that deficit with the calories, the extreme training to where he stayed lean. And for you to be a great pro, you do need to go off season. You need to let your body recover. We all know this. You need to take in a surplus of calories. You need to back off your cardio. And that loses that opportunity, that visual opportunity to be always ready. And so it's a give up. Yeah. What do you want to do? Do you want to compete, or do you want to be making money? And I think the quicker you make that decision, the smarter you are.
See, I was still competing though. You know what I mean? But I was competing for covers and contracts and money and fame and all of the things that go along with it. So let me make this point about the pro card.
Well, if you can you suggest to these kids that want both how to make that decision?
Yeah.
Because
so that leads into the point I was going to make. If someone has an expectation that acquiring a pro card is going to lead them to fame and fortune, you are wrong. Where's the camera? I can stare straight into your face and tell you that is the wrong approach to take, because it will not. It will not lead you to having people go, who's the latest pro? Let's go find them. They're not going through a list. And it's not going to, it's no different than January 1st. There's no magic fairy dust that's sprinkled on people who are making a New Year's resolution on January 1st that suddenly they're going to get in shape. No differently than when you get your pro card, that suddenly there's going to be some magic fairy dust sprinkled on you that you're going to be famous and you're going to be rich and you're going to be on all the covers. It does not work that way.
My coach in 1990, my acting coach, the first thing he said when the classes started, he said, if you're here to be famous and make money, get the F out. And so it's funny because I have 2 movies coming out in a month at Sundance Film Festival, 33 years later,
Yep.
after I started acting classes. And I still remember that conversation because of the fact that if I was chasing the money, if I was chasing the fame, I wasn't going to get it in acting. But I loved the craft. I loved that it wasn't easy. And so I'm still here 33 years later being consistent with it and still pushing.
And getting gigs and working.
The point, how does that have to do with health and fitness? If you're doing health and fitness to make money or to be famous, and you think the pro card leads you there, winning the show leads you there, there's been a lot of Mr. Universes.
Yeah.
And
You got to pay off on your debt first in order to get
it's-
in profit.
It doesn't get you that. It goes back to what you said.
Yeah.
It's the person, the interesting person that individual is and why he's so unique and different.
Yeah. What do you bring to the table? Why does Joe Weider, using that as a reference, want you in his magazine? How can you help him sell his brand? What's unique? What story can you tell? How can you keep the reader, the viewer, the buyer of that magazine intrigued and wanting more, saying, hey, when you putting Clark or Mike back on the cover again, we really like that issue and that story that went along with it. Do you inspire? Do you uplift? Or are you so focused on yourself that that's all you're wanting? And that's where the narcissism thing comes in, right? We're all narcissists, 100%. I am. Let me look in the camera again. I am. I love me some me. I ain't gonna lie about it. But with time, that's leveled out. I understand how to use it and how it could affect me in a negative way. So I'm smart enough now to recognize that and walk away from the part that could absolutely destroy me, right? Oh, I'm such a big deal. People like me. Man, all that stuff ends. Like I've had contracts end multiple over. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not that important.
That's interesting because it's I always say it's called believing your own hype.
Yeah.
When this magazine starts saying, hey, this is the guy, this is the person, this is it, stay level.
You have to.
Don't go so high that they put you up there. And also vice versa. When they start saying you're nothing, don't drop it. Just stay level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a question then for you, because you are you're not a spring chicken. You're someone that has lived a full 6 times over almost now, decades, life, and you're crushing it. But you're in a deficit and you're always in shape and you train like an animal. Is this how they should train out there? Or because I'm always concerned about everybody living in a deficit, always chasing the abs, 365. What's your recommendation for this?
Like you tell people, you can't do what I do and expect to get the results that I get. I, like you, in saying this with all humility, am sort of an anomaly, that I can live in a deficit and maintain muscle mass. How? I don't know. I can't speak for the genetic, epigenetic blending in my life. I do know it's there. Genetically, I was predisposed to be a muscular guy. But epigenetically, lifestyle-wise, I've lived this lifestyle forever. For as long as I can remember. Again, even before I knew what healthy eating was, I wasn't a soda kid. I wasn't a kid that ate all the junk, and I just naturally kind of migrated to more healthy lifestyle. Then when I realized, oh, this is benefiting me, I'm going to learn about it and do a little bit more. So I've been able to be a guy that stays low carb and in a calorie deficit, but not have it affect my muscle mass, my testosterone levels,
Yeah,
mood.
I think the important thing here is that you're healthy,
Yeah.
not just visually healthy. You're healthy inside, and that's always my concern with these kids that are, barely 20 years old or in their 20s, and they just trying to stay dry, lean, just beyond crisp.
That's not sustainable. We all talk about sustainability. You have to have a sustainable lifestyle. I figured out how to be relatively in shape and be shootable within reason and sustain it. I've done it. The day, I'll never forget the day that it came to me. I was shooting with Ralph DeHaan. I was carrying lights because I always wanted to be around photo shoots. I wanted to learn. I wanted to watch other models. And there was a bodybuilder guy from Australia. And I was cleaning up. Ralph DeHaan was saying his goodbyes. And the guy looked at him. He said, "I'll call you the next time I'm in shape." And it was like, bing! Right then, a light went off in my head as I was carrying lights, working on a photo shoot. I was like, what if I'm always in shape? These guys are only in shape a couple times a year.
Once, twice a year.
Yeah, and again, this is in the 90s before fitness modeling was,
Is it a thing now?
I don't think so. I think it kind of had its in the 90s, like we all made it a thing. Now people call themselves fitness models now, but it's watered down. And this is what I told this kid last night in the gym. He said, "Is it harder or easier now?" I said, "Both." It's easier because there's more opportunities. Everybody can see you with one post and like, hey, they have people scouring the internet looking for people. That is a job today. So people approach me all the time. "We like your attitude. We like the way you speak. We like this about you. Will you work with us?" And then I have the choice whether or not I want to. But with that opportunity comes to a whole lot more competition. So that circles back to, what is my unique selling proposition? What makes me different than all of these other guys out there that would want the same contract that's available to who's ever the best for it? I'm like, okay, most people can't speak on camera. They're horrible on camera. Why don't I just be a gangster speaking? Tell me anything. "Clark, talk about this pen." Boom, done. I can do it without even thinking twice because I've practiced that skill over and over and over again. So when a brand is looking for someone, they don't want someone to do this. They want someone to go, "You know what? A pen is the most underrated thing on planet Earth." Why? Because we don't use it enough. You know what it can do? It connects you to another human. How? By picking it up, taking a piece of paper and writing "I love you" and handing it to that person. It will change their life. I just sold 100 pens.
So how would you separate now for these kids that are watching today? How would you make them set their game plan up to go, hey, this is what I want to do. I love training. I want to be a health and fitness person. I want to motivate the world. What are some of the tips that you can give these guys right now?
Yeah.
And girls, obviously.
I think it would be the same as when you and I get a new coaching client. The first thing we ask them is, what's your why? Why are you training with me? Why do you want to get in shape? Why did you invest the money? Like, really ask yourself, why do you want to do this? Without a solid why, not a surface level one, "I want my pro card." That's surface level. Once you get that and the newness of it is over with and nobody cares and your phone's not ringing off the hook, it's like, okay, I did that, now what? But if you want to inspire people, okay, why do you want to inspire people? Because I was a shy kid. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So this is my story, right? I was a shy kid. Okay, why were you a shy kid? Because I was a late bloomer. Oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And well, what did that do to you? Oh yeah, I remember the first day in football practice, I didn't have any hair on my private parts and everybody else did, and they made fun of me. Oh, okay. I want to inspire kids who were late bloomers. So that's my reason that I get up every day. Maybe it's not that specific, but I know my purpose when I wake up is to positively and powerfully affect everyone I come into contact with. That is my personal mission statement. I wrote it down 20 years ago with that marketing guy, 25 years ago. So this morning, no lie, swear on everything, I looked at my feet on the ground. I said, today, I will positively and powerfully affect everyone I come into contact with. I stood up, I went, let's go. And that's how I started my morning. And now I'm doing this, you know what I mean? So it is fulfilling that purpose. I drove an hour and a half to get here to do this, So here we are. So determining why, more than I want people to recognize me, I want a good body, I want to look great on the beach. deeper than that. Let's go deeper. And then once you get that, get a plan and stick with it, because you're going to get doors shut in your face. Robert Reef, Clark, you'll never be on the cover of a magazine. You'll never be on the cover of a magazine, Clark. Oh, really? Oh, really? That's where the competitor came in. Even though I wasn't on stage or on a mat or on a football field or on a track or wherever, I'm like, okay, this guy just challenged me. Here we go. You're not big enough for these magazines. You're too big for that magazine. All the reasons why I couldn't. So I got a plan. I'm getting on the cover of a magazine. How? I'm going to be the guy that's always in shape. Okay. Now I'm sacrificing some stuff in my life. You talked about it the other day. I never went to the desert with my friends. I never went snowboarding with my friends. Clark, why? I don't want to break my leg. I don't want to get hurt. I'm on a path. I know what I want. You know? And then sticking with that and realizing that it's possible if you are a dog, right? That's how we describe athletes. No, that's my guy. He's a dog. I'm a dog. I'm a dog when it comes to it.
What if they want to have that fun too and enjoy their youth and go snowboarding and go out and do their thing?
Yeah. Well, be smart, right? Be smart about it. Certainly have fun. It's not like I never had fun. I loved my life.
Oh, trust me,
man.
I got stories. You had fun.
Yeah.
You had fun.
I had a blast, because part of the fun for me was attacking my goal and achieving that and going, okay, here's cover number 1, let's go. And so have fun, but understand what's more important. Is it more important to go out and party on a Friday night with your buddies, or are you better off staying home because you have the Mr. Olympia to go to tomorrow and you want to look fresh? I can't tell you the amount of trade shows that I've been to where I stayed in my room, didn't go out with everybody, because I knew I was meant to be in somebody's booth tomorrow that hired me to look good and act good and speak good. And if I went out and partied that night and had fun, it would have been fun. I wouldn't have been as efficient and as effective as I was when I showed up. And have everybody go, you had people go, where in the hell did you find this guy? Why haven't you told me about him before? He's the best person I've ever seen in a booth in my life. It's because I knew I was there to do a job. See, and that's where narcissism will get in the way. Oh, they hired me so I can go off. No. You'll never get invited back again. Not to my booth. If I hire you and you're there to do a job and you don't do a job, we're going to have fun. I'm not an ass or anything. But if you're not doing your job, then you ain't coming back. But I won't say anything. I'll just watch it and let you go. Hang yourself.
So you kind of have to, I think we both agree that you kind of have to give up something to get something. It's not just you get to enjoy every aspect and every party that you want to go to. There's sometimes you got to stay home.
You ask any achiever in life, they will tell you the amount of things that they missed out because they were focused on a goal. And it doesn't mean they didn't have fun. Doesn't mean they were a jerk and they didn't enjoy life. They just knew what they were going to do, and they didn't get sidetracked or let the peripheral stuff get them off. That's why they put blinders on racehorses, right? Keep you looking straight down the lane till you get to the finish line.
I saw a great video of Muhammad Ali talking, and they go, "What's the trick? What's the trick? Why are you so much better than everybody else? What is it that you have to do to keep doing what you're doing?" And it was funny. It was like, is it the training? Is it the food? What is it? He goes, being in bed at 9 o'clock by myself every night. It was such a something I could relate to, but it was such didn't see that coming from him. To go, it's the little detail. Just if I get to bed at 9 o'clock every night by myself, boom, get my sleep, I can get up the next day and do my training and do whatever I do to create the future. And the future is whatever. It could be win Mr. Universe or create a empire that you've done and be able to do your own job and live your own work without being somebody's employee.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't miss that. And is this discussion today is that you've got to live and look the way you do. And that's the endorsement. You're not driving the Ferrari and looking cool because you're endorsing them. That's your endorsement, is the healthy body that you have today, living a full life, working for yourself, and motivating the world, which you've done.
And I go to bed at 8 o'clock every night on that thing.
Well,
Like
you're
I'm
right.
waiting. Last night at 7:55, I looked at Anita. I said, I got 5 more minutes and I'm going to bed. Because she forces me to stay up until 8. And then she's like, really, can you stay up a little bit longer? I'm like, look, you don't need to follow me. You can stay out here as long as you want. I, Clark Bartram, am going to sleep. And I'll be sleeping, no lie, by 8:05. Gone.
And it allows you to continue to live the life you live.
Yeah, and when I get a text from you at 4 a.m., I'm up. I've already done my morning thing. I've gotten in the cold plunge. I've done my little stuff that I do. And I'm already working and doing my thing because 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 8 hours of solid sleep. That is the key right there. That's another thing. If young kids are watching this, man, start sleeping now. Get good sleep patterns now. It's the number one thing on planet Earth that you can do to recover at 21 or 61 or 81. It doesn't matter.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. If you guys can, try to remove what his physique looks like and what a handsome guy he is, and understand that this guy's almost 60 years old and he's been doing it for a lifetime. Remove all that and understand that he set himself up as a youngster to be able to still do this today. And I really do believe you, and I think there's a whole trend of everybody talking about this as well, is that the 20s, those teenage years and the 20s are for you to set yourself up for the future. It is not for you to wait until you're 30 or 40 to go, okay, I'm going to start this journey now. So for you youngsters, man, jump into this, especially with the way social media is going. He gave you golden tips to create your own future. Something that's, like he said, I haven't had a job, and we got to be able to create this and articulate how we got this. And that has been able to keep us alive and working for ourselves through our whole lives. And it is fun. The health and fitness world, and that's why I'm still here today. It is fun. I didn't do it for the money or fame. I do it because I love it. And you can see that in Clark. And he grabbed onto it early enough in life to where he could set himself apart from everybody else. Now, is he good looking? Has he got a great body? Sure. And he's been able to keep that and do that for so many decades. Not a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or he looked good and then he's out of shape and he's back in shape. He's just been able to stay there. That to me is motivational to anybody, that he's lived the life that he says he lives. And I think when it comes to this health and fitness world, there's no fibbing. You can't really fib it. If you're eating when you're by yourself at 2 a.m, it's going to show. But if you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing his cold water thing that I will not do, and his meditations and everything that helps him continue to live the life, that's gold. And that's somebody you need to follow and watch. And today's episode was great for me to just sit down with him and listen to his continuous wisdom, and look across and see that this friendship that I've had came from competition, came from us competing against each other, and is bonded into blood or brotherhood by choice, not by blood. And so thanks, Clark, for showing up today and doing this with me. And that is it, guys. I'll see you next week. Enjoy the Christmas holiday this weekend. And please eat something for him and me, because we're still dieting.